Hi there, happy Tuesday, January 3rd. I thought I would give you a little timeline on the life that is mine. Okay, so first off, I was born in New Orleans because my dad was doing residency there. And I think we were only there until I was about 10 months old. Then my dad moved us to Central Florida. And that's where I lived until I was about 6. Now, I have an older sister named Jan. And I do know this, that when I was a little tiny baby, she went up to my mom and said, holding diaper pins, real life diaper pins before Pampers. And she said, I want to stick these diaper pins into my baby sister's eyes, but I'm not going to. It's okay to think that, but not to do that. Right, Mommy? Yeah, that's what it was like. And I think she probably pretty much feels the same way today. So we moved to Florida. And I think by this time my mom got to know me well enough to realize that, let's farm out raising this kid. So she pretty much let me just run around the neighborhood, and there was this wonderful family that helped raise me. And then we hired Eloise, who took care of me. If it weren't for Eloise, my therapist has often said I probably wouldn't have turned out as good as I did. I still love my mother, though. She did a great job by just handing me off to other people. This is where I got my love for Disney World, and we lived on a lake and in a nice neighborhood, and it was a great, fun little life. And then my dad got a bee in his bonnet for some reason and decided, let's just move everybody out from this nice little lifestyle and move to the middle of freaking nowhere in small town Tennessee, which is what he did when I was 6. And I'm pretty sure that freaked my mom and my sister out pretty big time. I was 6, I was adaptable. But so here we lived in this middle of nowhere, no real neighbors. I mean, your neighbors were like, a mile away. And so that's where I ended up growing up. And the way my mom helped to kind of deal with living in the middle of flipping nowhere, she worked. She always liked to work, just because she wasn't really great at being a stay-at-home mom, much as I'm learning that I don't really think I'm all that great at being a stay-at-home mom. Cleaning up and sitting around by yourself with the pets gets really boring. But you think you're gonna do all this stuff, like finish your peacock curtains and have like an amazing garden out front, but nah, you don't. You pretty much just like spend the whole day daydreaming and, I don't know, being on the computer and maybe randomly getting something done. Okay, so back to Tennessee. Fortunately, there was this wonderful regional theater in our town, and that's where my mother took us. And I grew up doing theater there, and it was fabulous. So from age 6, I started doing theater, and that's completely where I grew up. Otherwise, I was riding horses and hanging out with my best friend who lived down the road, like a mile or 2 away, and riding horses and hanging out in the farmland area. Then when I was in high school and I knew it was about time to go to college, I was so excited. Now, of course, this was before the internet, so you couldn't look up where to go to college, but I knew I wanted to be an actress, so I wanted to either go to Northwestern in Chicago or I wanted to go to NYU in New York, of course. So I sent out for all of this information. I put it on the table for my dad, like, this is what I want to do. Come on, this is what I want to be. And he's like, yeah, no, good initiative for ordering that stuff, but you're going to UT Knoxville, College Town, which is where I went to school. And he's like, they got a theater program, you can go there. So I went, and I really was expecting a much more exciting college life than I actually had. But that's ended up where I met my husband. And after I graduated college, I worked down at Disney World. I've told you a little bit about that, and went back and forth. I traveled some after after I was so sad because I didn't become Cinderella. I ended up working a bunch of different jobs and traveling around, and I loved that. Then I eventually moved to Chicago and started taking classes at different theaters. I took classes at Second City and eventually got a job there, starting out as hosting the room, seating people, and I was a dishwasher, I was a bar back, and then eventually I got hired to act in their business theater, and then I also understudied the touring company. So that was absolutely the time of my life. I worked as a performer. I started doing commercials. And I also did trade shows. So that's when like computer dorks hire you to be the face of their company when they go to these big, huge trade shows. And so I did that a whole lot, acting like I knew totally what I was talking about. Oh my gosh, I remember introducing e-commerce in like 95, which is this weird little thing when you could sell stuff over the internet. And I remember thinking, that is just crazy. So I used to do that kind of stuff a lot and traveled around for that. So I had all kinds of fun. Now then, my husband and I, we've been together for a long time. He's more, we're kind of an opposites attract thing. So he's more introverted, and I really wanted to stay in the big city, and I was either going to stay in New York, Chicago, or Los Angeles. And anyway, so he wouldn't really move up to Chicago. He finally did, but then he got pulled back down here to Tennessee. And I was like, you know what, fine, we can be married, but I am totally not moving back down south because I'm finally working, right? Well, so we didn't live together the first year of our marriage because I refused to move back down south. Well, let's just say a year later, I was like, dang it. Things he wanted to do were going well, and things I wanted to do were going well, and it was kind of like, meh, okay, if I'm going to stay married, I better move back down to Knoxville. Now, he's not a mean guy, so he didn't like force me to. I just came back down here. And the cool thing was, after I moved back down here, I actually got some really great jobs acting. So I would fly around and drive around for different auditions. So I got this great Reba McEntire video where I starred in that. I was starring as a dying cancer patient to a Reba McEntire video that was #1, and it was even Grammy nominated. So that's about as close to winning any kind of fancy award that I've gotten so far. And that I got to be in a great big movie. I had a big part with Nick Nolte, Sharon Stone, and Jeff Bridges in a movie called Simpatico. It's not a real good feel-good movie, but oh, I was so bummed out because they cut a bunch of my stuff out. But I went out to LA for a little while going like, nope, I'm meant to be out here. And I got kind of disillusioned by a variety of different things. But really, I didn't get involved like I did in Chicago. I didn't live in the right place. And again, I wasn't with my husband. So for a variety of reasons, me mainly kind of being second-guessing myself, I moved back to Tennessee, and this is where I've been, and helped my husband with his business, and I became a Pilates instructor. And so we had this really successful Pilates studio for many, many years, and then we bought a house and had a couple of kids and took them to Disney World all the time, and I thought, you know, this is great. This is our nice little square life. And then a lot of sad things happened, and I don't want to talk about those, but that's been in my, the past few years of my life has been dealing with some very sad, very tragic things that happened. And so now I'm trying to just kind of pick myself back up and go, wait a minute, who the heck am I? What am I going to do? And I'm trying to be cheerful and happy and move on with the rest of my life. So anyway, thanks for being a part of it, and thanks for listening. Subscribe if you think this is kind of fun, and I'm looking forward to just being creative. Thanks. Bye.